Okay. Yes.
And so people will come and so now this is your session. Please, it's okay. So I'm not introducing you, Stephan. You want to tell us about yourself, please, as much as you want. This is now your session. The way you want to take it, totally yours.
Yeah. It will mainly go about myself, the presentation. No, I'm joking. Hello, everybody. I hope everybody is fine. And thank you for the introduction, Vikram, an hour ago. I logged in a little bit later, and I hope my internet connection will hold it. Because here in Burundi, lately, we have a little bit difficult to connect to the internet. To introduce myself, you will see that I have a Russian name. So my grandfather was from Russia. Myself, I'm born in Belgium. My mother was from France. And I lived in Belgium, Spain, Swaziland, South Africa, Rwanda, and now in Burundi. So I studied law in Belgium and business law. And I did a career of 27 years as a lawyer at the bar in Belgium. And as a business lawyer, but also in my youth, I had the opportunity through my family to travel a lot around the world. My mother was somebody who wanted to me and my sister to learn cultures. So we traveled a lot. We liked to be enriched by other cultures and to learn worldwide. And this fascinated me a lot in my life, though during the time that I was a lawyer, of course, I was focused on being a lawyer. But at the end of my career, though I'm still a lawyer, of course, by education, but at the end of my career, I concluded that the problem of being in court was not always the solution to a problem. So as a lawyer or as a barrister or attorney and you are in court, you're always choosing sides. You're always defending your client. So in now what we can call the traditional legal systems of the West, we go to court and we represent our client. And what happens there is that a third party, according to the rules and according to the law, will judge who is wrong or who is right. So when I stopped my career, I analyzed this because to me, it didn't feel good. It didn't feel good that a third party decided on who is wrong or who is right, according to interpretation of the law. Though the system is imposed in a modern society, it is a system that didn't evolve. And probably that's why we are going back now as mediators, back to the future, to see for more satisfying processes where we don't judge a person anymore by who is wrong or who is right. Because in the end, and as mediators, we know that everybody is right in his own mind. And as a mediator, you take distance of positions. You go further than positions. Whereas a traditional legal system of justice, the court system, doesn't do that, because the court system is there to judge by the rules that are enforced by whatever political system. So let's go back now to this symposium. mediation in culture and traditions. Mediation, to me, I was educated in mediation in Belgium, and after following courses in Belgium and being accredited in Belgium, I moved to Africa because I wanted to know if mediation in a Western society is the same as African society. So I studied also mediation at Cape Town University, and I must say it is a little bit the same principles. But now in this symposium, you see a lot, and when we see the introduction of yesterday, I think we can say, without judging the value of formal or informal mediation, we can say that there is informal and formal mediation, and just leave it open by judging it, which one is good or not. I think it is important to know that worldwide we agree that mediation is a process that has to be voluntary, confidential, and self-determined by the parties, and that the mediator has to be an independent, neutral, impartial person. And I liked what Ken Cloke yesterday said. For impartial, he said omnipartial, because he speaks a lot of that we have to leave behind the adversarial system, seeing people against each other. We have to see them as part of a whole. I have to see that I don't go too fast in my thinking, but this is how I see mediation. I want to be clear about that. Then we have mediation in culture. Culture, what does it mean? Ken Cloke spoke also about this, and he stressed the importance of culture. Of course, culture is very important. And everybody belongs to culture, but what do you do with a person like me who has Russian origins? I have a Russian soul still. I'm born in Belgium from a French mother, and I live in Burundi. Do I have a culture? I don't know. I am me. So what does culture mean? Culture comes from the Latin culturare. It means cultivation. It originated at the beginning of civilization, where we move from nomads to sedentaires. That means that we stay closer to the land and we don't move anymore. And it was close to agriculture. That means maintain the conditions suitable for growth. How to cultivate our land. So it was supposed to mean to cultivate the soil. What did we do after that? Culture became the cultivation of a group of people, of the mind of a group of people. And how do you influence the mind? Or what is the basis of the mind? The mind needs stability. So we have values, we have beliefs, we have norms, and they are going to influence our behavior to obtain a collective human achievement. So culture is more than what we perceive in worldwide. We see culture as dancing, and I see everybody dancing in the world right now because I love dancing. Dancing is the connection to humanity, human being. And it's an expression. Dance is an expression. But it's an expression of those values, beliefs, and norms that we agreed upon to achieve things as a collective group. Now we speak about mediation and culture and tradition. What is tradition? Tradition is how we transfer our culture, our values, and our beliefs to the next generation. That's when culture becomes tradition. So culture has many aspects. It's about values, it's about customs, but it's also about government, about law, about leisure, pleasure, games. It's about economy, it's about language, it's about religion. So look at culture as is a whole part of humanity. So if you only look at the language in the world, we have to know there is 6,000 languages. 6,000 languages, but there is only 4% of the languages used by 96% of the people. And 50% are in danger of extinctions. So just to situate the complexity of culture. So you have different levels of conflict that you can have there. Primary conflict of culture is conflict between values. Then you have secondary conflicts, and as I see it now where I am, and I'm going to make the connection to where I am now in Burundi, is that you can have many cultures and many subcultures. So it's complex. And it's very dangerous to say of yourself and certainly of another person, and to see as to another person and judging a person, this person belongs to that culture. As mediators, we have to be aware of this complexity. We cannot let ourselves be determined in our judgment, in our own mind, to judge somebody belonging to a culture. We also have to know that parties will judge us belonging to a culture because it is really specific for or typical for the human mind to categorize people. And our intelligence needs categorizing to acquire knowledge, to understand. But at the same time, it is limiting our minds. We have to be aware and keep our minds open. And this is important where mediation comes in. Because mediation is a tool of an independent person that comes into maybe a conflict, because sometimes people judge something as a conflict which isn't a conflict. When people come to you as a mediator, it is very important to ask them, what is the problem? What is the problem? Not what is the conflict. Because what is a conflict for one person is not necessarily a conflict for another person. So for myself, when I talk about mediation, is that I listen to people without judging. Because to come to a solution, and I don't speak about resolution of conflicts, is even when you have informal mediation, is that you try to come to a solution in a situation where people don't feel okay. They are not necessarily in conflict. There is just a problem to be solved. It is to perceive as a mediator things, situations, but certainly people as they are, without judging them. Mediation is a communication tool. most conflicts in the world, they are due to lack of understanding and bad communication. Because we listen to talk, but not to understand. Because we are already in our own mind, in our own position. And this is very important, that the situation of the mediator is there to be that independent person who is listening to the parties, so the parties listen to each other. Because this is mostly the problem, is that people don't listen to understand. I'm going to make now the connection to Burundi. I'm living here for 5 years, and Burundi is one of the poorest countries in the world, with a vicious circle of conflict. So the poverty is also due to the conflict, the permanent vicious circle of conflict in the country. And yes, Vikram also referred to colonization. We wouldn't talk about that maybe, but it is very important to know when we go to the tradition of Burundi. I hesitated a very long time, or a while, and I thought about it. Am I in a position to talk about Burundi? Maybe as a luckily I am a mediator, that I can be in a position to talk about it. Because I really try not to judge nobody, and I try only to understand what is going on. And it was a huge challenge for me to be in a country with a vicious circle of violence, because you learn much more from situations in life that are very hard than when you are educated academically at the university. Sometimes it's much better to live things than when people tell them to you. So I came here, and in 2015 was the last violent conflict in Burundi, when the last president, the previous president, extended his term. So he wanted to stay in power, and probably his people also wanted him to stay in power. So Burundi comes from violence that are already started by colonization. Before colonization, Burundi was a kingdom with a lot of ethnicities. If we talk about Africa, we have to know that in Africa there are 3,000 ethnicities. If we can say that an ethnicity is a culture on its own. So we can say there are at least 3,000 cultures, local cultures in Africa. So then in Burundi itself, you have 3 main ethnicities, which is the Hutu, Tutsi, and Twa, and in amount of quantity of people. And they all have different cultures. And what is the danger? And this is what yesterday at the introduction by Ken Cloke, I asked the question, is a cultural approach not a dangerous approach? Yeah. And I meant by that, if you're going to approach people by their culture, you're limiting your mind as a mediator, and you're classifying people, and which is very dangerous. Imagine you have two conflict between a Hutu and a Tutsi here, and it can be that those people are much closer to each other than, for example, two Hutus but who are of two different religions. So there can be sometimes, when it comes to a specific conflict or a specific problem, that a conflict is huger between two same cultures because there is different subcultures involved. My view on that is that as a mediator, yes, you have to be aware of all different cultures, but you don't step into them. You are aware of them. You are aware of what is. But if you have a very open mind, you don't even need to see people are from different cultures, because each person is the way he or she is. At the introduction, I forgot to say that I also became a coach, a life coach and coach in development, entrepreneur coach. So what I saw here is that people needed to reinforce their self-confidence. People lost their confidence in themselves. When you are not confident, you are depending on other people to tell you not only what to do, but the moment you are depending on other people to tell you who you are lost. Many people are lost, and I can say it's not only in this society. So I go to the core of the problem is that people lost themselves because they are told by others what is best for them. And I don't go by that to an individual culture. No, it is the essence of humanity, is that we are all human beings. So if I come here as a Western person, like colonialists did, to tell them, I am better than you because I'm more intelligent and I have more knowledge, I have no respect for what is. So the first thing that a mediator should do, whatever is in front of him, is to accept what is. Accept without judgment, I mean, without judging, this is good or this is bad. If a mediator is judging already, stepping into the personalities, the behaviors of the people in the conflict itself, the mediator is lost. He has to recognize and to be aware of all aspects of the conflict. So the goal of the mediator is to see the whole. If the mediator himself is going to focus and take over the focus of the parties, he cannot bring to clarity, because the goal should be to come to clarity. Now I come back to Burundi. Because of vicious circle of conflict, people are in a new culture, a disrupted culture. People have no confidence in themselves and certainly not in others. So imagine people telling the truth. So people can't say what they think. So what people think, what they say, and what they do are three different things. So if you don't think good, you don't talk good, and you don't act good, you're not aligned anymore with what is good. It's disrupted. So in the culture now, you don't say anymore what you think. Imagine your situation. Imagine you want to mediate conflicts. You're sitting with two people, two parties who can't say the truth. And a normal person would judge them and quantify them with words and judge what they are doing, their actions and their personality. While it is our task, and it's very hard to come to clarity, because you cannot come to solutions of problems, not to the resolution of conflicts when there is no clarity. So this is one of the challenges here. No, thank you for your patience. And certainly Vikram, because you wanted to go to back before colonialism and tradition and everything. So, but this is very difficult in Burundi because first of all, you have the culture of oral traditions. That means all knowledge, all wisdom is transferred by mouth. And imagine now people, they don't dare to speak, not even their own culture. I asked different people here, what is mediation in your culture? But I don't get an answer. But of course, I got some essential principles and information. And I also have, luckily, I have friends who are anthropologists who can give me this information. And also, of course, some local people. So before, when you had the kingdom, but you had a kingdom. So you had the wise people. And I think this will be like a red thread through the symposium, is that here, Burundi is a land of hills, like Rwanda, many hills. So in each hill has its community. Myself, I don't live in the rich quarter, and I'm so proud of that. I don't really live with the rich people on another hill, the colonial descendants. We took the risk here to live with my family on the hills with the rural people. So to feel how these people live. Myself, when I have a problem, and this is the connection with mediation, myself with local people, I respect my chef de colline. So he's the chief of the hill. So you have thousands of hills in Burundi with a chief and wise people. They are there. They are still there. So this is an advice, and this is what we have to enforce here in Burundi, is their proper culture, of course. This is, and you don't have to go back to the past. You can connect to the past because the past is never your reality. This is also a danger. Cultures and traditions have a negative side because you live only in the present moment. There is only one reality. The reality is now. The reality is not the past. Of course, the past influenced who you are, and you have to be aware of that. But we can only think and we can only act in the present moment. This is very important. So the whole, you have to look at the whole is now. The whole, the reality is not in the past. And this is the danger of the past. The past can enrich you, but the past is not your reality of today. And this is what I wanted to say yesterday to situate that in life, there is only one constant, and that's impermanence. Everything is in constant evolution. So what is today is not tomorrow. This is important. That's why mediation is important. Mediators, they are in the moment. They are not imposing rules from the past. Rules are from the past. When a rule is made, is already past. and this is why mediation is important, is to be flexible, to have open, flexible minds in the present moment. So to come back to Burundi is that they are reinstoring, and myself, I'm helping them to appreciate their own culture, exactly, but to adapt it to the present moment. Not too much influenced by the past, because the past is the past of conflicts, permanent conflicts. And now we have to avoid conflicts. We have to understand where the local conflicts are coming from. Conflicts come when one person or group or one culture imposes their culture to another culture. That's where this conflict is coming from. So when we want to live in harmony, we have to see the whole. We have to see that all cultures are part of one humanity.
So that is why, Stephan, the topic was the mediation in our culture, and that our culture was the culture of the world. That is was the whole idea.
So you trapped me.
So, but the only thing, Stephan, is you've been in other parts of the world. You stayed in other parts of Africa.
Yeah.
Anything from there? Anything you want to tell us about those places?
Yes, and I would like very much now to Isaac and Sarah, Isaac from Ghana, Sarah from Kenya. I think they will really elaborate more on that. Myself, of course, I lived in Swaziland also, but Swaziland is a kingdom. And in a way, you have the same principles there, that you have local tribes where you have a chef of the tribe. And I must say, also here you have local judges. But these judges, you cannot compare them to judges in a Western system. I see here, when I see a judge, a local judge, a regional judge, they listen much more to the parties. They are not there to enforce the law. I must say, because they have a very old traditional culture, and that's the message I think you want to bring, is that these people, in a way, they don't really impose their power. They were really want to reconciliate the parties. And in Swaziland, I saw the same, also on some hills, that there was a chef, and when there is a conflict in the community, they come to him. And it's really not always about judging. I was surprised the capacity of listening they have in these cultures. So we are taught now academically to ask questions as a mediator. But when you go back in time, yeah, that's what these people did. And I like this Buddhist story when two people were in a conflict and they go to a wise master, and the master listens to one story and he says to this person, yes, 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 yeah, you are right. Then the second party comes in, he's listening, yes, 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 you are right. And then they both say, but how can we both be right? He must be wrong. If you say he's right, the other one is wrong. No, you're both right. It's true. And then, so it was a discussion they couldn't understand. And of course, and I love this as a mediator, I always say everybody is right in his own head, in his own mind.
But if anyone wants to come in, you want to ask Stephan anything, please put your virtual hand up. It's in the reactions section in the bottom of the screen. So please ask Stephan. But Stephan, in general, now, whenever this whole differentiation that I've been trying to put across between the traditionally arbitration and mediation, have you really seen any of that happening there, where people think it's mediation, but it's actually arbitration? Anything there?
Yes, you mean here in Burundi?
Yeah.
Yes, so what happened is that by Western influence, and when I speak about Western influence, is the aid sector, development sector, they try to implement things here. And for example, Arbitration is the first thing they try to implement. First, they try to reinforce the traditional Western justice system with judges, of course, in courts. And but of course, it's not fully working. It exists. The question is, does it help justice? Does it help the people? So then they introduced arbitration, and mediation is now in the law, but not executed yet. So mediation, as we know it academically or formally in the Western systems, it's very difficult to implement it. But you have arbitration works a little bit, but not to say, yeah. But that doesn't mean there is no justice, because Western people will say there is no justice. Of course, the people are getting out of this vicious circle of conflict. It's normal.
But what I discussed in that opening session, that why do people prefer to have someone else take decisions for them? Why don't they do it themselves? Yeah.
Yes, I noted somewhere when you said we have to be aware and we have to be responsible. So as a coach, I assist people to become more aware of their own person and take responsibility for their own person. But I hope my African colleagues will elaborate more on that, because you have to understand that myself, I come from an individual culture where the individual is very important. But here, the relationship between the people, Ubuntu, okay, it has been touched by colonization. I see that it's damaged. So people are becoming more individual. So Ubuntu is pure, but it's not everywhere anymore. It's damaged. But the Ubuntu is the spirit whereby, and my African colleagues, I hope they're going to elaborate on that, is that the principle of I live through other people. So the relationships are more important than the individual. So it's a completely different approach to society, to life.
But the important thing, Stephan, you didn't tell us was that you are doing a lot of work under this dutti.com. So if they want to get in touch with you, dutti.com, they should. You're doing a lot of work in Burundi, very nice work.
Yeah.
Okay. So Prabhat wanted to say something. Yeah, Prabhat.
Hello, Stephan. Very, very interesting presentation that you made. Very interesting because it brings forth closer perspective of Burundi, which many of us may not have known so closely. And I say that because I have had some engagements in Africa, and I never understood, I would have never known this aspect of the mindsets of people if I had not listened to you. So thanks very much for that orientation. The question that I have is that there are two things very clearly. One, of course, the challenges, economic challenges, and other challenges that people are facing there. So disputes may have a lot of component of economics in it. That's one side. And the other, as every society which wants to sort of grow out of the past and move into being better. So there would be the other side of rights issue, that the dispute around, this is my right to own this, or this is my right to have this. So what is the kind of experience, in your experience, are the disputes sort of evenly between from the rights perspective, or are they from the subject and the matter of issue perspective? Have I been able to explain that?
Yeah, this is okay. This is exactly a very difficult, because of course when you are a business lawyer, I suppose you are a mediator, and I see you mediate in business matters. And of course, this is a very difficult aspect because I won't go much further than that, but trust is a very important aspect in development. And when there is no trust, there is no development. So if they want economical progress, they first have to decide we want economical progress. And if you want economical progress, then you have to become a trusted person. The question is, we always, for example, myself, when I see in business, when there is conflict, you cannot always trust everybody. And this is one of the blockages of the non-development, that it blocks development. And it is not about that people feel right or wrong. Sometimes it doesn't exist here. What is right for you on the other side of the world is not necessarily right here. And what is wrong for you is not necessarily wrong here. So it is very important that to work with, but it's difficult to find local, trustworthy people. And I don't say by that other peoples are not to be trusted. No, it's just because sometimes people don't know. Sometimes people don't know how to be trustworthy. That's why I'm also here as a coach. I coach them to become clear and to become trustworthy. Because if people don't know what it means, they can't be it. It's part of being as a person. And I know very well in businesses, because I can, for example, I did a mediation between an investor and a local business partner. And what sometimes happens is that the local partner just copies the concept and does it himself, and the investor is left alone. So the investment is lost. So it happens a lot. So in a way, there is also a vicious circle going on of why people won't invest anymore. Private investors, I mean. I'm not talking about the big organizations. So there is a lack of a climate of justice. And there is, of course, mediation is important there. But if the mindset of a person is not there to mediate, for example, I was there and I asked the other party and explained, listen, I'm a mediator, and you both need to pay my fee, and my fee to start is like $400, which is nothing, but at least just by the principle, you pay $200, you pay $200. The project was a project of $2 million. But anyway, I just try things to check out how it will go. So then the other one, the local partner, says, yeah, but I'm not going to pay you. I didn't choose you. And I say, yes, of course you didn't choose me. I'm asking you to choose me. And they didn't get it. They didn't get it. Yes, yeah, but you are chosen by the other person. So it's really a challenge. So it will take a long time. The approach, how you bring mediation, is very important. Of course, if you bring it from the West, like you're going to do mediation, yeah, they will perceive it as another system of colonialism, so as interference. And I think that Vikram wants to get there is that you go back to the old traditions where you involve culture as an influence to mediate again, I think that should be the goal. And in that way, I agree that the past, of course, has good things to teach us, to become humans again and not people of systems all the time. Yeah.
I think, Stephan, the important thing that you said was that people, first of all, have to value what you're doing for that. The other thing is to taste it. So they have to taste blood. And once they taste blood, they are going to hunt for people with the mediator mindset. Those people will have so much work to do. It's just the fact of them tasting blood. That's all we have to make them do.
I can even tell you, I think when I came here, and imagine we are 2021, there is aid sector and development sector for 30 years now. And there is many people telling me, oh my God, there is a white person who listens to us, a person who doesn't tell us what to do.
So that's the change of culture that's going to happen.
Yeah,
but Giovanni had something nice to say. He said, this is philosophy of life. Giovanni, you want to tell Stephan something?
Hello, Giovanni.
Yes, Giovanni? You were influenced by his talk and you said, this is the philosophy of life.
Yes, really, philosophy of life. How many experiences have you got? In how many countries did you live?
You know how many countries I lived?
Yeah.
Maybe 7, 8, I don't know.
But Stephan, also tell him how many marriages you've had from people from how many countries.
Yes, I also had partners of different cultures.
This is the reason, because you are so wise. You know? And it was a bit astonishing hearing you. You told that in Burundi there are a lot of hills, and on each hill there are different traditions. Well, Rome, the capital in Italy, was just built on 7 hills 3,000 years ago. And I think that at the beginning, there were just different traditions, different people, different cultures on these different hills. Yeah. But it was really astonishing just listening to you. Philosophy of life, the calm, the quietness that inspire you, because you live in many different countries. Now I think that you are a mediator, but are you a professional mediator, or are you a mediator in the life, usually in the life?
No, I'm also a professional mediator, but okay, I am lucky to have different talents. By the way, I love Italy. I've been in Milan, in Rome, all of Italy many times. The only city I didn't do was Florence, but okay. Anyway, so no, I'm blessed with many talents. So I also am creative. So I build houses. I do many aspects of life. Yeah.
But you're a white person inside Black people. How do they accept you as a mediator?
Okay, it is difficult. It is difficult, but luckily, yeah, I'm blessed because I learned from very young that diversity is the richest of life. So, however another person behaves, I have a natural tendency of trying to understand and not to judge the person.
This is what you learned. But other people, how do they approach you?
No, you have to know that with my smile, and people like that. But you have to be careful. In some cultures, when you smile, it can be an insult. Huh? So but generally, I have no problem. People are very kind to me. Yes, and of course there are people, because of their, how can I say, and I call it injured minds, people who suffered a lot in their lives. It's difficult, and everything that is strange, like xenophobia in South Africa, I saw it. Xenophobia, we think it is between Black people and white people. No, xenophobia in South Africa is between, and I saw it there because I lived in Swaziland and also South Africa. It's Black people to Black. So it's local Black people that don't like other Black people from other countries. But okay, the human mind is also normal, because the human mind is always afraid of the unknown. So it blocks, when it likes the known, it is attached to the known. And you know, in Buddhism, we say that suffering comes from attachment. Even attachment to your culture can bring you suffering when you are meeting other cultures. So the thing is not to attach, to understand always, and to be flexible. Ale, sorry, I don't know even. Yeah.
Okay, so Isaac wanted to say something. Isaac, please put on your video. Let Stephan know that there is someone behind that screen.
Yes, Vikram. I wanted to ask him whether he has been able to identify any peace process, local peace process that enhances mediation in Burundi. That is what I wanted to know.
Yeah, you know that, Isaac, I don't know if you know about the most famous, and it's good, I'm happy you go to there, because when Burundi was coming out, the big conflicts, you remember the genocide in Rwanda in 1992, where Tutsis were, and Hutus, and here the same. You also had it in Burundi. So one of the most famous people, and it's one of, I call it teachers in my life, was Nelson Mandela, who came here as a mediator. And he mediated, I think, 2000, 2003. And I can almost be sure that what he did was one of the most difficult jobs in his life. One of the most difficult jobs in Mandela's life is to be a mediator here in Burundi, because it was almost impossible. And the conflict didn't get solved. In reality, it didn't get solved because it lasted till now. And maybe we are going to get out of it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Isaac, did you know about this?
Yes.
But
I understand because of the family ties between the Tutsi, Hutus, you know, it cuts across. You got Rwanda, DRC, and Burundi as well. So most of them share common cultural practices. So that is why I wanted to know, because when the conflict have occurred in Rwanda, they use the Gacaca system as a source of relief, or making sure that people get the result that they are looking for, the peaceful process that they are looking for, because the international court that was established was not giving them the results that they needed and the protection that they wanted. So that is why I wanted to know in Burundi if there was something like that that the people use in resolving issues of such nature. Thank you.
Yeah.
But only thing, Isaac, which strain of the coronavirus is this which gets transferred from the screen? Do you have to wear the mask for us also?
Yes. I just got down from my car, so I've just got to the office. Okay. Yes, so that is why.
Okay, but Isaac, this information that you got from Africa, whatever feedback that you got up till now, anything from that you want to share with Stephan? That form that you sent out? Anything that you feel?
Yes,
I wanted to say something too. I shared the form. So myself, Isaac, I shared your form here. So, but you know, you have to be patient for the follow-up. But it was a very good form. I liked it. And it's a very good initiative. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
So any feedback? Yeah.
Yes, one thing about Africa is that we have the ethnic groups, and inside the ethnic group we have the clans. So the clans actually set the families, which the family heads becomes the heads of the family. Like if it is a company, like the boss of the company. So the family heads, when dispute occur within the families, the family heads comes in to mediate and also resolve them. Sometimes they use, when there is a funeral, before even the person is buried, they call the family members to sit down to bring out issues and resolve the matters before the person is buried. And also sometimes after the 40 days of the burial, they can also sit down to resolve some of the family matters. And once again, when it is time for festivals, people travel to their hometowns and other things, and that is also a major source of dispute resolution mechanism that they also use, so that they are able to get the people from the city that come to the village, so that they are able to resolve the matters. Because of the rural-urban migration, which is more prevalent in Ghana, a lot of people have moved into the city. A few people are in the village, so the family ties that used to exist is no more, because of the, now we are moving more like the nuclear family system more than the extended family. But so when it comes to the family funerals and festivals like that, the families who are far away are able to draw back home, so that some of these things they are able to resolve some of them. So in the questionnaires, I try to find out whether some of them have been able to participate in any form of family dispute resolution. And the results I'm getting is that yes, some of them have indeed participated in family dispute resolution, which have resulted into good results that they were looking for.
I think the interesting thing, Stephan, I mean, Isaac also, but basic thing for everyone, I think we have to bring out this aspect that the structure of society has changed over time, moving from rural into urban areas. What has been that change? Why things have changed? This whole nuclear family coming up. So are mediators coming in as a substitute for the elders in the family, of those people in the community? So I think, and the sense of, maybe the sense of ownership is not there in urban areas, so you don't belong to a community as such, maybe. Although I think those aspects also, I think we need to bring out as we go along.
Yes, yes, I perfectly agree with you. We need to blend why the family ties are moving away from the extended system to the nuclear system, and whether mediators are filling that gap for the family heads. I think it is important that we understand why those issues are happening now.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So, Stephan, any closing remarks?
No, just so that we have so many cultures, and as I ended in my explanation or presentation, is that really we don't have to forget we are all part of one humanity. This is very important. Yeah.
So, anyone has any last questions or anything for Stephan? Okay. I think you have clarified everything for them. You've given them a lot of things for thought. I think they'll bring it out in their presentations also. So I think, thank you very much, Stephan. It was very nice of you. And
thank you so much, everybody, for your patience.
And look at me, for me, it's been so nice. My first episode of Evolution of a Mediator was with Ken Cloke. So he started with a keynote address. First episode of In Conversation with a Beautiful Mind was with you. So you've started with the first speaker. So it's been very nice for me. And thank you very much. So what I'll do is I'll shut the recording and the live stream right now. And you people want
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So
thank you so much, Vikram and everyone.
Yeah, if you guys want to stay, talk, I have no problem with that.
Yeah.